think. And we have a special guest who's joined us tonight. I think some of you might, or today, some of you may know him, Bernie Jones, who is one of the founders of INC 50 years ago. And he's not in Denver anymore. He's actually up in the Pacific Northwest. And so I invited him to come to his meeting on Zoom and join us. And I believe Michael Henry might be here as well online. So we're really excited. I just wanted to give Bernie a minute to say hi and maybe talk. In 1975, I think, is when you all got together and started INC, and maybe just say a couple words. That would be great.
Okay. Thank you, Keith. I really appreciate being here and having the opportunities to see all you wonderful people here. I live in Kashmann, British Columbia, and I've been there for 30 or more years. But it's nice to get back to Denver once in a while and see old friends. I congratulate surviving for 50 years and not just surviving, but thriving. What you have now is so much more than any of us envisioned INC becoming 50 years ago. I'm proud of the role that I played in helping the organization exist. And well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm here, and if anybody wants to contact me separately afterwards, that's fine. And
that we ask you if you have any spare bedrooms, if any of us want to abandon the United States and move up to British Columbia. For those of you who don't know, and I think I may be the only one who really remembers, INC was founded in Bernie Jones's living room in Capitol Hill 50 some years ago. And it really is wonderful, as Bernie mentioned, to know that inter-neighborhood cooperation has survived and also thrived. And Bernie really is the founder of INC, and hopefully we and he can have many happy returns.
Thank you, Michael and Bernie. It's great to have the legacy right with us, and to be living your legacy. So thank you both. Keith, are you back on?
Yeah, I apologize. I am in a place that it has poor Wi-Fi apparently. I'm gonna try to. I'm having issues with my computer actually jumping on back on. Up. Can we do the committee reports from I believe is Joel Noble there? Do we want to do transportation and then also ZAP? I guess both Joels maybe. Great.
Hi, everyone. Joel Noble, I chair the Transportation Committee for INC. As you may know, we meet every other month on the odd number of months. So we met in January, and that recording is up. If you go to INC's YouTube page, the recordings of all of our meetings since the pandemic, when we went fully on Zoom, are there. It was a quite good meeting. And our next meeting will be on, Thursday, March 13th. Our meetings are always the second Thursday of the month. from 6 to 8 p.m. So we'll have 4 topics. That agenda is being put together now. So hope to see you there. And if there's somebody in your RNO who's interested in transportation topics, mobility, traffic, anything of that sort, please let them know they're welcome to join. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joel Cox. I'm the co-chair of the ZAP committee, zoning and planning. Just wanted to let everyone know, in case you didn't, we do have our next meeting February 25th. So that's a Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30. We're actually, so my co-host Amber, we set up we're co-hosting with Sean. That's the Capitol Hill RNO. They have a really great home right next to Cheeseman Park, so we'll have the option to be in person there as well as virtually. We have a really great lineup of speakers. We have someone from Denver Streets talking about parking reform, mainly parking maximums. We also have someone, Representative Clifford, talking about construction reform, construction defects reform. So in case you probably already know, that's a huge barrier to entry-level housing. So they'll be discussing that. And then we also have Ryan Keeney, who's the young president. He'll be discussing just different legislative updates, different bills like yes in God's backyard, the single staircase issue, and a few other things that affect affordable housing. So we'll be meeting the 25th. We'll be sending out those details, the time, Zoom link, as well as the location via email actually today. So keep an eye out for it. If you're not a member of our email list, just email someone at INC and we'll get it figured out. So it's definitely something you don't want to miss. So, thanks, guys.
Keith?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm still having problems getting on and being able to pull the slide deck up. So I think that the best thing to do would be to kind of go through. I'm wondering if we should just we can do our speakers right away and have Councilman Kashman. And we'll do our program first, and then we can do the rest of our announcements after that about upcoming events and things like that. So if, to start this off, I think if Councilman Kashman, I think what we wanted to do for our program portion of this was to have Councilman Kashman give a little bit of his, work and vision over the last, several years, I think, in trying to get funding for, a division of community empowerment and what his thoughts are. And then we were going to go to Director Perla Gheiler. I hope I'm saying that right. And, talk a little bit about, what the office is, working on right now. And I believe they're getting a position put together and getting a job announcement out for that. But I think we're going to go with that if that works.
Take it away.
Good morning. Good morning. People applause because it's not that roar, people aren't on their feet. That's good enough. Thank you very much. Do that again.
Yeah.
I know your promise would be much. So my name is Paul Kashman. I represent District 6 on Denver City Council. I'm in the middle of my third 4-year term, returned back after 3 terms. District 6 goes from down on the west to Quebec on the east. Actually, Indian Creek neighborhood goes a little east of Quebec. On the north is kind of a diagonal border, Cherry Creek, in the creek itself, down to Leedsdale. And then on the south, from Quebec to Colorado Boulevard, it's Evans. From Colorado Boulevard to University, it's Yale. From University to down, it goes down to Dartmouth. So, I was a kid in New Jersey. I moved to Colorado in 1971. My awareness of Denver neighborhoods began in 1978, and I started with a little newspaper that had just been started a couple months before, called Washington Park Profile. And I ended up being with the Profile as ad salesman, editor, and then publisher for about 36 years. And the timing is interesting to this discussion because the Registered Neighborhood Organization Ordinance, I believe, was crafted in 1979. And it made this great deal between the city and the neighborhoods. It said, look, guys, we're going to tell you all the secrets. We're going to tell you everything going on in the city. Then we want you to tell your constituents and neighbors what we're doing, and then come back and tell us what they think about that. And it was a great deal, except since 1979, the city has provided virtually zero education on how the city is run, $0 to help you print newsletters, do outreach, do research on how to come back to the city, and nowadays, how to craft a website. We've left you completely on your own. And as a result, y'all get better than anybody. We have some RNOs in the city that function extremely well because they're fortunate to have, by chance, a good group of interested, active volunteers, able and people with knowledge on how to run a nonprofit, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, we have a great number of RNOs that struggle because they're short on any of those resources along the way. So a few years ago, I think spurred by the fact that I had a few RNOs in my district really struggling, I started looking at what other cities did or are doing. And if you take 15 minutes and Google Office of Community Engagement, you will find that Denver is about the only city, it is the only city I was able to find that doesn't have such a beast. And when you look into it, you'll find that these cities have big, some are small offices, some like Boston are large, 30 or 40 people working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, supporting their residents' efforts to be involved in their own governments. But the things they have in common was they do provide education on how the city runs and how you run a nonprofit. They do give you some dough so you can do your outreach. And so you can buy a couple of cookies for a party and hold social events, do community building. And so I became immediately convinced that that was something Denver needed to put into place, and brought it to Mayor Hancock and received whatever analogy you want to use, crickets, or and just couldn't drum up the support. When Mayor Johnson came into office, I think about 3 months after he came in, I had my initial formal sit down with the mayor, and I presented three main categories to him. I thought we needed to be more aggressive as a city in supporting our kids and families. I think we needed to be more aggressive from the mayor's office in support of sustainability efforts. And the third thing was the concept of, we at that point, we, meaning my office, stopped talking about an Office of Community Engagement and started talking about an Office of Community Empowerment, because we realized that's what we wanted to do. Engagement is too easy to check a box. Empowerment means you're going out of your way with an understanding that we have 13 members of city council. I happen to think we have a good city council. We've got a mayor. I think we've got a good mayor. We've got 12,000 city employees, and most of them do a great job. But we got now 730,000 people in the city and county of Denver. And if we're not minding that community, we're missing a whole bunch of great ideas, a whole bunch of great volunteer resources. So long story short, Mayor said, I think it's a great idea. And so finally, in the 25 budget, just starting January 1 of this year, there was money for a director of what has become the Division of Community Empowerment under the Office of Human Rights and Community Partnerships. And you'll hear from Perla Gheiler shortly. And like I said, Boston has 30 or 40 people. We have a director. Well, the director is going, well, the hiring, the director is going to start, my understanding, by looking at existing positions in the city, seeing what we can grab into this new office, and then take it from there. I couldn't be more excited. I mean, we're finally heading in the right direction. I liken this a lot to our Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency. About 8 years ago, Mayor Hancock hired a guy, some of you know, Jerry Kenyano, who then hired 2 aides to form the Office of Sustainability. He had to raise his own money. There wasn't even a budget line item for it. And now we're 7 or 8 years later, and we've got Hazard, the climate office, with I think 65 employees that are recognized around the country for their great work. That's where I hope the Division of Community Empowerment ends up going. So I think those are all the points I wanted to hit here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything too much. As far as my idea of where we go from here, one of the main things I think we need to do quickly is revitalize and rewrite the RMO ordinance. It was written in 79, we're 2025. We need to bring it up to date. We've all seen its strengths and its weaknesses. To do that, my vision is some sort of community congress comes together and we hammer this out in a way that works for both the governing body of the city and our community. So that's what I wanted to throw out at you. I don't know if anyone, any questions now, or if you want to hear from Perla.
Quite a few questions now, and, yeah.
So,
Is the position appointed or is it a city position?
it's a city position that there'll be, Matt Perla will tell you, may already be out, the job listing to hire someone to fill that post. Mark?
So as you know, Councilman, INC is actively trying to update a manual that it has been the intent being how to help RNOs get organized, give them some context of how the city operates and so on. But obviously, the most effective manual would be a joint effort between the city, between this new division and INC. So I guess my question is, how can INC be effective in the present context of there's not there's just an executive director. How can we help move this forward? And it sounds like maybe the ordinance involvement with the ordinance is important, but what are some of the other things we could do?
Yeah, I don't think you need to do anything in particular. And the reason I say that is INC is INC. Yeah, I mean, you don't represent everybody, you represent a hell of a lot of people. And so I can't even imagine a discussion of this nature taking place without a close involvement of INC. I also think again, my thoughts, that this division of community empowerment won't stop at just on the nose. But I think it makes sense to include, work with any community building nonprofit. Number of years ago, I spoke with, I think she may still be the director, Raquel Beltran at Empower LA. And they, we were talking about the topic of no money. And they, that year, probably 6 years ago, 5 years ago, had a fund of about $7 million to distribute to their 99 neighborhood councils. And they were getting a lot of heat from their district councils, I think they call them, because they had decided to now open that fund up to any community building nonprofit. And she said, you're in a great position because you're not giving anybody anything now. So anything you decide to give is going to be well received. And she's got it. That, again, that's my vision. Perla will hire that director for the division, and that director will start creating the process for moving this whole idea forward. Sir, right next.
Yeah, I have a real quick question. Do you know if the division has a website yet, or is
No.
that, okay,
No.
so I look for it.
There's a,
Yes.
I think it's great and definitely needed to have, community empowerment. I think one thing that has been expressed, at least in our neighborhood, is, people who were in the city, in the neighborhood 20 years ago, everyone who lived in our was. Anyone who's moved in, you know, the last few decades, doesn't know. Is there, what are your thoughts, I guess, on how to share our resource to people who are in the city, which is, I think, most people now.
How to do it, you know, I think some sort of major outreach campaign, you know, there's a couple of angles to that. RMOs, I want to be very clear, I want to strengthen RMOs. There is no part of my brain that has any desire to get rid of the organization. I think there's too many good people doing too much good work. However, there are a lot of people who aren't joining us. So one big thing that we've been pushing for that has gotten beyond frustrated is I should be able to call citizen, call resident, go online and find out everything happening in my neighborhood without going to the on and on. Okay, so we're trying to strengthen the entirety of community empowerment. But yeah, I think in this process, you're exactly right. I can't tell people into, yeah, no, the council person is RNO, congressperson, whatever. We kind of get, I'm glad what about you? We're involved in this stuff. A whole lot of people, their entire day is trying to put food on the table.
Recently we had, Councilman Meyer Campbell join about a community, and she brought up, gender is really, relies on participation for community members. So they don't rely on, participation from community members. If you see, you know, it's a vehicle better overflow, it relies on someone calling through and lines for it. Otherwise, it's really gonna come. A lot of people don't know that that's something that is expected in Denver and needed, and so they just sharing that's, you know, an expectation and need welcome, I think it's important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, we don't to do what government is supposed to do. We don't want government to do one thing more than what they're supposed to do. But that is an interpretation of what does that mean? I want government to keep me safe. But do you want to count every corner? Do you really, everybody's frustrated with traffic, do you really want a cop with a speed gun at every intersection, you know? So, personal responsibility is is so important. I mean, everything from, as you say, cracking the sidewalk, if they're speeding at an intersection, to the fact that, you know, the tsunami of newcomers that have come to our city in the past few years, if it wasn't for resident groups, like the Highland Moms and other groups like that, we really been affected. Because everybody knows we spend more money than we could afford to spend taking care of as many people as we could, however we feel about that. But, I mean, there's probably a couple thousand, several thousand residents who've been active in that area and help people have more dollars. Oh, yeah.
Can you stand a little closer to the
I think Joel was first.
Joel?
Okay. My name is Alejandra. I live in District 1.
Yes, ma'am.
I have noticed in my experience that the RNO ordinance tends to over-empower certain groups and under-empower other groups. So I'm wondering with this new division of community empowerment, whether you're starting really from like selecting this new director. Is the community involved in this selection? Is it going to be a person that already has power within government to make this selection? So starting from a human-centered design approach, meaning you bring together people who are usually, you know, disempowered and also other community members, and then start creating from scratch. That's how empowerment begins, right? So have you thought about these things?
Oh, yeah, and Perla will have to answer the question about a selection committee or how that will happen. But one of the things I didn't mention, in talking, as I was doing my research on these offices of community engagement and empowerment, one thing that was also universal that every city had found out that in most cases, RNOs were the bastion of moneyed white property owners. And everybody had begun to figure out how do we broaden our representation. So we're actually representing the entire community rather than just a limited segment of it. And, you know, as I mentioned, this division is going to be housed under the umbrella of human rights and community partnerships. And I honestly do believe the issue that you raised will have create a much better playing field, moving us forward to a more equity-based system.
Another thing that I think gets lost is also a lot of the people who work in our city and provide essential services do not live in the city. So how are we empowering service workers, you know, teachers, firefighters, all of those people who do not live in the city to also have a say, right? They might want to live here, but they're not able to.
Yeah.
So how do we include this group of people?
Well, as far as including the city workers, I know the mayor has been holding a series of monthly town halls. You know, they never, you have an hour and you have God knows how many employees. Long story short, I think this administration understands better the stuff that you're talking about than maybe past administrations have. I think the makeup of their leadership is getting more reflective of the breadth of the community. So I think these issues are going to play out in a more positive direction than they have in the past.
Thank you.
I do, John.
So you mentioned this division could provide resources to different RNOs, whether it be funding for outreach or funding for refreshments at social events. Do you have an idea what that process would look like? Would it be something where every registered neighborhood organization that's registered with the city has access to an equal amount of resources, or is it something you would have to apply?
Yeah, I have no clue how it will play out here. I can tell you, like I said, just as an example, LA had that 6-7 million for their 99 groups. They didn't write everybody an equal check.
Right.
You know, you submitted saying, you know, I want to do file a newsletter. And it's gonna cost this, and then they will, fund that. I know that my office has been doing for the past 4 years. We started a community benefits fund and set aside 20 grand a year out of our district budget. And any RNO could apply for a grant up to $2,000. And we just pulled it out of the air to get the program going for any community building project. And we've had the breadth of it, from annual picnics to websites, to food trucks, to, newsletters and on and on.
Do you have a broad range of the total funding amount that you're shooting for this year?
Not even, I mean, yeah, how much money I would like, yeah. A truckload, right? And we all know this year we got no go. So, but it's a starting point. And I do believe, in 5-6 years, we're gonna have something that's really cooking. And even in the short term, I do think we'll get some sort of, residence academy, whether it's online or in person, where you can find zoning 101, public works 101, that type of stuff, and start to understand the data.
We actually need to, last question, okay, and then we'll move on.
Hi, Kate Williams, I'm with our United Neighbors, and I heard you just say online, and one of the things that I would really, Perla, would really like this organization to look at is how many people are not able to access resources online, whether they have a language barrier, or they don't have access to the internet, or they don't know. And I think that this office would be better served in looking at other ways to reach. If everybody here has a computer, right, knows how to use it? Is there anybody here who doesn't do this online?
The use it is maybe the question.
Yeah. So just a thought to carry forward in that.
I agree. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your being here and caring about the community.
Great, thanks, Paul. Can you hear me now, Judy?
Yes.
Great, great. Great, and we're thrilled that, I obviously this is the start of a conversation, we think, between neighborhoods and the city, and we're really just thank you, Councilman Kashman, for everything that you've done so far in trying to get this division, funding set up for that, and your vision for this is and leadership. We really appreciate that. There are a lot of questions in the chat. I hope we can get to these, a lot of these after Director Gheiler speaks, and I hope I'm saying your name right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But we are thrilled that Director Perla Gheiler from the Office of Human Rights is also here and will can speak about where things are headed in the future with us. So thanks.
Good morning, everyone. As everyone's noted, I am Perla Gheiler. I'm the Executive Director for the Agency for Human Rights and Community Partnerships. A little bit about myself. I've been with the city, it's like coming up on 8 years at the end of March. Prior to this position as an appointee, I was the director for the Office on Aging. So I did a lot of work with our aging community in Denver for 7 years, and it was a joy. It's still near and dear to my heart, so I'm stay pretty involved. With this agency, we currently have 5 divisions. So we have the Division of Financial Empowerment, we have a Disability Rights Division, we have Deaf and Hard of Hearing Division, we have the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs Division, and we have our Aging and Financial Consumer Protection Division. In addition to that, we oversee 10 commissions. So those are appointed by the mayor, and they each have about 21 members. So that's an additional 120 commissioners that represent our communities. And then we have many programs that we work within, like our anti-discrimination, our nonprofit program and a nonprofit engagement, and then our energy efficiency. So we do a lot of different things within our community, but really the main area is basic access to basic human rights and building partnerships that help us continue that mission. This new division, which we just found out about at the end of 2024, really is something that Councilman Kashman has been pushing for years, as he mentioned earlier. And he also stated that, this is something that the mayor feels very strong about. It's really important to him, and working very closely with his office to make sure that we build this division for success, that we have purpose, and that we have outcomes. And so with that, there was a couple of questions I want to answer before we move forward. And let me just pull some of my talking points to you. So one of the question was, what is the specific purpose for the creation of the new division of community empowerment? And our Agency for Human Rights and Community Partnerships, the acronym is HRCP. So I'm going to be saying HRCP quite a bit. But HRCP Community Empowerment Division will serve two main purposes. One, to coordinate meaningful community engagement systems across the city agencies and to closely collaborate with registered neighborhood associations. Why didn't previous solutions work to accomplish this? I think accurately put, the new division is a direct response to feedback from the community regarding the need to evaluate current community outreach and engagement processes across city agencies to develop comprehensive and strategic citywide guidelines that will help strengthen and increase neighborhood engagement and participation, in particular through our registered neighborhood associations and other community partners. Right now, we currently don't have, it said, what are your top 3 goals for the new division? For this year, for 2025, our goal is to hire a director. And we just, and I'll give more detail about that, but it's to hire a director, create and develop a plan of what this looks like from different stakeholders, and then request budget expansion to actually launch this plan in 2026. Does this new division require an FTE? Yes. That is what Councilman Kashman pushed forward in 2024 for the budget expansion. To get this office set up, we have to hire a director who can really focus on this area. It's a big area to focus on. This was approved for a director in our 2025 budget. And so we are currently working on hiring a division director. So it says this new division helps ensure diversity, inclusion, and equity in our communities. If so, how? Well, the division will be housed under HRCP, which for more than 76 years has worked to protect our community members' basic human rights through advocacy, establishing strong community partnerships, and providing direct services to our traditionally less represented communities. The division, along with our other 5 programs, will develop goals and strategies that directly address our agency and citywide mission and vision. And finally, it says here, anything else you'd like our readers to know? As mentioned, this division is currently in its early stages of development. We look forward to the opportunity to engage with our community this weekend and to receive feedback and ideas as to how to build a system that best addresses their needs. With that, I'd like to say that we have had 2 convenings of all the city employees that work around community outreach and engagement to assess what everyone is doing. Is there a budget? How does it align with our citywide goals? How does it impact RNOs? And so we've been assessing this. We had our biggest meeting in December, which was about 75 people participated from all over the county. And then, and these are employees that are doing the engagement work. And then we did another assessment in January. So we put together a report of like, what do people want to see? What do people actually do now? Where are the gaps? All of that good stuff. So when we hire this person, we really want that person to help us build out what this looks like because they'll be leading it. And so we hope to post the job by the end of February. It's currently being reviewed by the mayor and HR. And then once we hire the person, then we will start implementing, like, what does this plan look like? Of course, we used to have a position like this when I first started with the city. I don't know if any of you know Chris Martinez. I think he was one of the first people to work with INC and the RNOs. And then I think Gracie Lopez Ramirez was the second person. And then somehow it just disappeared. It went to the mayor's office and then it didn't happen. So we don't want to create additional mistakes like that again. We just want to work with you to figure out what is it that we can support and engage and empower and have this two-way street of what's working, what's not working. Here's some new messaging from the, about the city of Denver. So really want to have a collaborative effort. Right now, I only have budget to hire this position. As you know, we did have some budget cuts over the last couple of years. And so our tax revenue isn't quite where it needs to be, but hopefully we're going to see an expansion request for that office going into 2026. But right now, our focus is to hire the right person and to make sure that we engage all of you in this process. As far as keeping updates, I'll come to this meeting as many times as you'd like for me to just share where we are in this process. And with that, today was really my job to just listen and hear from you all about your concerns and what you'd like this position to include.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Director Gheiler. And I think that, I'm having, I think Joel, maybe if you can help relay some of the questions that have popped up in the chat, and I'm happy to do so as well. I think Councilman Kashman addressed this a little bit in his chat, I think, as well. And I think one thing that has come up kind of consistently is, and I obviously understand that resources aren't available beyond this position at this point in time, but whether or not this new division will focus, like how much focus, I guess, is the intent of the division for volunteer organizations like RNOs versus kind of a broader spectrum of nonprofit organizations in Denver, many of whom have, professionals who are writing grants, who are out there seeking funds for their organizations. I think, just the capacity level of volunteers to try to do all the amazing things that, RNOs do. I've seen it just from this position is really at a breaking point or a threshold of challenges. So, I would like to open it up with that, and then also, we can take some questions from the chat too.
Yeah. So again, I mentioned that it's like a two main areas that we want to focus on, and one of that is all of our outreach and engagement efforts, where this would be the hub, and that we're all kind of messaging and working with RNOs in every district from an outreach and engagement part, but then also how do we empower our community like an RNO to work along with us and us work along with you. I think some of the things that were mentioned by Councilman Kashman are let's look at the ordinance. Does the ordinance need to be updated? How does it need to be updated? How does that feedback from all of you go into the ordinance? I know that was one thing that we had discussed when we first started having these conversations. The second is, not every RNO is registered. And so in order to be considered, how do we get our RNOs to make sure that they're being registered, to make sure that everyone is following that ordinance to make their communities better. And then what things are we not doing that we want to do? And so we really want to figure out what this looks like. And again, we haven't put a plan. Right now, our first thing was to look at hiring somebody that can help with developing this division, because this person is going to have to own it, and this person is going to have to really lead those efforts.
Can we, they're just, yeah,
I
people.
don't think this has been addressed. Alejandro Casamata asked, how will this division ensure RNOs are accountable for their work, are truly open to all, share all information in a timely manner, et cetera?
Yeah, I think those are the processes that we need to set up. You know, let me give you a really good example. Our agency set up the Snow Angels years ago, and maybe 5 years ago, and it was all manual. We were working on spreadsheets like, oh, this volunteer should go help this person, and this volunteer should go help this person. And it was very, very, very labor intensive and time consuming. And so over the years, we have worked with TS to set up a process where people can volunteer online, and people who need the help can volunteer online, and then it automatically connects them. We want to set up systems like that. We want to make sure that people are having a way to request information to us or ask questions or what have you, you know, if there's funding available. We have a process, and that everything comes through this process, and then we're able to get back to you right away. So I hope that we can add people to this division outside of the director. I think that is really what's going to be helpful. I mean, we have, you know, so many districts, we have, you know, so many people, we have over, I think, 200 RNOs, maybe 278 RNOs, I think. Are all of them registered, or all of them following the ordinance? So there's a lot to look at. I think too, hearing from you, and that's the community empowerment part, like hearing from you, the community, on, you know, what is needed, what can maybe go away. I think, you know, really looking at what can we start, what can we stop, what can we continue, and what can we bring on that's new, that's going to be really fulfilling the efforts that all of you are making.
Lou.
So I just, thank you very much. I want to remind everybody that Inc. is the organization of RNOs. And so we are looking forward to the partnership. We have been working on these materials. To your point, we are looking to create what Joel Noble called, and I like this, how to RNO. So we've already been working on these materials. We will then try to make sure we have the ability, whether it's through AI or other volunteers, to put these into multiple languages so that we have those resources. And as Mark pointed out, this team at Inc. is really looking forward to being able to be that partner. When you're starting a new organization, we don't want to duplicate efforts. We want to be there for one another and then connect all of this. One initial thought is, because the city requires RNOs, you talk about registration, only really in certain times of the year. And I don't know why that is necessary. Why wouldn't we open this up to RNOs that become involved to register any time of the year? And that's an easy fix. I didn't see it in the ordinance. I think it's just some regulatory dictate that was put on this. So that's an easy fix. And that's something that maybe the department will do right off the bat, to just make sure that as we reach out to RNOs, they have a chance to register with the city. And then we can reach out to them to find out if they are a community that is low on resources. We can waive the fee, get them into Inc., teach them how. Here are 5 sample bylaws. Here's sample good neighbor agreements. Here's where you can find this information. So truly how to RNO. So I thank you both, and especially Paul, for working on this for years, with many of us who looked at this over the years with him. But this is a really exciting thing for RNOs generally, and for Inc. specifically, because that's our wheelhouse. That's our raising deadline. So let's work together. But if we could change that one thing right away, let RNOs register whenever they want.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
have,
Got that down.
yeah. Okay, I have a question that kind of came up when talking with Councilman Kashman, that I think everybody wants to know is, how has the job description for this been developed? Who developed it? Who's on the search committee? How are neighborhoods being engaged in that process? Because this is a really important position and at the outset, to understand who you're looking for and how you arrived at that.
So for the job description, we have worked across the city with stakeholders on what this looks like, but we've also been talking with Councilman Kashman's office. He submitted a study that was about this big of what people, what this position would look for. What are the recommendations that came out of this report based on everybody's feedback? And so we looked at other positions around the country that are doing this work, and that's how we modeled our current job description from. We do not have a selection committee set up yet. I'm waiting to get the approval on the job description from the mayor's office and our outreach and HR people. Again, this is a city FTE, so there are certain things that have to be on the job description, but we are looking out from the study with Councilman Kashman, and we have talked with his office numerous times to figure out what is the right description for this job.
Yeah, I would just say we'd hope that INC might be a partner in that on the search committee, and given how much we represent and to have that voice, that would be my recommendation. Joel and then Adrian.
Yeah, Candy's City Baca had a really good question. She asked if there's a question, what real city decision-making power is intended for neighborhoods via this new office? So you've spoken a lot about, you know, specific ways that you guys can support RNOs, but have you thought much about processes for translating, you know, what you're hearing from RNOs to, you know, something that can actually shape city policy? Will it be something that's kind of informal, like the commissions where the mayor can just listen to, you know, the feedback from these commissions, or have you thought of something more formal?
So we, when you say more formal, again, we haven't built the office yet. We're just trying to get someone to lead it and put all these things into place. We meet with the commissions on a monthly basis. That is part of our role as the keeper of these 10 commissions. We have a liaison for every single commission, and then we have a liaison that oversees all the commission from our end of it, from HRCP, and then the mayor has a deputy and assistant deputy that work on their end to get all those people through. We have 3 meetings, partnership day meetings scheduled with our commissions for 2025. In the past, we have only had 1 partnership day where we brought the commissions together 1 time a year. Now we're doing it 3 times a year because the mayor wants to hear from regarding legislative issues and challenges and how to support, to discuss budgets and to discuss goals, citywide goals, and how, you know, making sure that we're implementing citywide goals that really are supporting the work that's happening in the city. So we can implement those kinds of things with the RNOs. We just haven't built what that looks like yet. So, and this director is really going to be part of that vision because they're actually going to have to implement it and take it to success.
Thanks so much. Adrian? And speak up, please.
Yes. This makes me nervous. I've spent a good chunk of the last 25 years trying to get empowerment in our little neighbourhood of Bacon. And it's been a real struggle until the city gave us a hand. What did they do? They were going to put a jail in our neighbourhood. And that was great because suddenly everybody in the neighbourhood got together and said, wait a minute, we don't want to do that because it's going to cost us money. It's going to devalue our houses. It's going to, right or wrong, you know, this is what they said. I happen to be president of the neighbourhood association at the time, and I got to lead the damn charge on this. And we got wonderful empowerment of everyone. And we had a little office and so forth. And as it happens, one of the rare examples of the citizens getting together, not under any organisation particularly, but we beat City Hall. It didn't happen. And the benefit of that over the years has been that Baker has one of the strongest neighbourhood associations in the city. Why? Because we understand that it's up to us to protect the things that we value and want in our neighbourhood, even if the rest of the city doesn't agree with them. And so for that reason, I think, with the greatest respect, Paul, to your work and so forth, I think this is a mistake. I think that all of these departments or divisions or whatever you call it start off with wonderful intentions, but get to be the police. They get to be the group saying no. Classic example, the Landmark Commission in this town started off preserving our wonderful heritage. Now it tells you you can't put in double glazed windows in your house if you've got a historic house. So I'd love to be a yes vote on this. I think it's doomed. And I think RNOs do a better job of community outreach and engagement, as difficult as that is. And I've written a million handouts and so forth. We've been doing this assiduously for probably a quarter, maybe a half a century now in my neighbourhood, and it still hasn't worked. Still a few white guys and gals who are running the neighbourhood association, but when the proverbial hits the fan, yeah, we're engaged. And I think that's true of everyone. Let Adam Smith do this job, not the city.
One point to follow up on that though, there is not a connection with what your RNO takes a position on and whether the city has to listen. In other cities like LA, you have to have some support in, so you can get together and say, we don't want this development, and have every single person in your neighborhood stand up and say that. And the city may say, our goal is to build this density on this, and we're not going to listen to you. We have done that. We've been to planning board where everything we said didn't make a bit of difference. So there's still a disconnect. You can engage and maybe you get somebody to listen, but that is a void in what this ordinance says and how zoning and planning operate. And right now, there's no connection. So as we move forward in this and we look at the ordinance, it's not the only thing that needs to change. The process of listening and the impact that voices have there's not really a formal connection there. I'm just pointing it out because we can have really strong RNOs. It doesn't mean that if their position is different than the city vision in blueprint and everything else, that's going to have an impact. I don't know if Paul wants to say anything to that.
I also think it's important to know.
Hold on, Perla. Possible. Adrian is right to the extent that Baker's had a tremendously powerful group of people working at the center point of keeping their neighborhood involved. All I can say is I can take you to dozens and dozens and dozens of neighborhood groups around the city that if a jail came up, it'd get built because they don't have the right leadership. I mean, my neighborhood is a perfect example. I live in Virginia Village. Intro Group bought the old CDOT property at Arkansas and Birch, 12 acres. And we're going through the rezoning process. The neighborhood group was splintered, infighting and so on, and played almost no role there. So, that's all I would say about that. As I said, we have some tremendously powerful neighborhood groups. And yeah, I mean, you always want to keep your eye on government. Right? Yeah, no, it's the absolute truth. You get the right person in leadership with Baker, and Baker is a great neighbor. If you get the wrong person, all of a sudden, it's like, what the hell happened? Right? Last thing I wanted to mention, tangentially related to all of this. I'm not the only person involved in discussions with Ms. Gheiler, Councilwoman South Gutierrez, one of our at-large representatives, Councilman Watson from District 9 are also partnering with me on this topic, as well as, while it's kind of a different line on the flow chart, a group I know that a number of you have worked with, Radiant, is very involved in discussions with Ms. Gheiler to see how they might partner to strengthen the RNO city relationship in a mutually beneficial way. And that's the first time my age and I addressed each other without throwing punches or cussing in some time.
Perla. Yeah, I think too, there are other departments in the city that work with the RNOs, like I know CPD, that's probably what you're talking about, Adrian. City, community planning and development, when they come in about building something, and we want to be able to bring that together and have more discussions on those types of things. So I know that safety work comes out to the RNOs and does presentations, and we have a really good relationship working with all the city council members. And so I think, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is be more collaborative, be more understanding, have better communication, and really, empowering neighborhoods to, I think when we say empowerment, it's like giving you the information and the tools that you need to go out and do what you need to do in your neighborhoods, and us not really getting into the weeds of that, but really supporting the work that you're already doing. That's how I see and envision this division. It's really, how do we bring you information and tools and resources that help your neighborhoods? And what does that look like? We're building this right now. So I think there's more to come. I hear all your questions and I'm taking notes of everything. And I think the next time we come, we'll probably have that job posted through the end of March if we could get it out in the next week. Things move slow, so we're trying to get it up and running. But I'm gonna put my information in the chat because I do want to hear from you. And again, I'm working very closely with Councilman Kashman and the entire council. We have Dominic Moreno, who leads our legislative process. He's also working with us. There's a lot of stakeholders internally and externally that we are involving in this process. So I hope that if you ever have any questions, that you feel comfortable to reach out to me anytime, and happy to come out and to your RNOs and talk more once we get this person up and running. So really appreciate the time that you've given me today to talk about what's coming.
Hey, Perla, can you just speak your contact information for those of us that are in the room?
I'm sorry?
Could you speak your contact information for those of us here in the room?
It's Perla, Perla, period, Gheiler, pronounced Gheiler, at denvergov.org. And my cell phone is 303-589-5309.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Director Gheiler and Councilman Kashman, both for coming. And we really, obviously, there's a lot of questions and a lot of information. And I think that we appreciate you all taking the time to come and talk with us, even though we know this is just kind of the beginning for you as well. And so I just want to recognize that to everybody that's online in the room, and that, there's information kind of back and forth sharing, I think, with all of this, that, I posted for everyone that's online. I did post, we sent out a survey or a questionnaire, a few questions to folks through our monthly emails. And we'll continue to try to get that out there for anybody that wants to give it, answer those questions. And we'll provide that feedback to Director Gheiler and Councilman Kashman as well. And we've gotten some really great responses so far from that. And I'll put it in the agenda, and we'll make sure we can try to get it out there to as many people as we can in the coming weeks.
Yep, once we get that job description good to go, we'll share a link with Keith and Councilman Kashman, all the city councils. You guys can share it out in your bulletins or newsletters. In addition, all the things that you mentioned, those are, we want it posted on the website. We want to make sure we look at all the things that you mentioned today. So it's just the beginning of the process. I know there's lots of questions, but it's just the beginning of the process. And we want to make sure that the person that we bring on does have time with you to help build out what this is going to look like.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for both of you coming on. I hope that my Wi-Fi is good enough now. I'm going to try to throw the screen back up for our meeting here. And Judy, if you could let me know if you see it there.
Yes.
Okay, great. And I might have to, let's see, go off camera here.
Put it into presentation mode?
Yeah. And then we go off camera to make sure that my video
I'll just
sticks
pull
around.
that up. People want to know about the event February 22nd.
Hold on.
It is 1:30 to 3 Embassy Suites in the Denver Tech Center. So it's in the chat. That's located at 10250 East Ostia Avenue in Centennial Free Refreshment. Okay. 1:30 to 3.
All right, Keith. Keith, we see your.
Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Now, yep. Keep talking.
I just want to take a minute here to think. I know we did this. Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah,
great.
We can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to take a really quick minute to thank if everybody that's involved in the INC executive team at the venue can raise your hand.
Keith, you need to speak up.
To all the folks on.
Keith, you need to speak up just or closer to your mic.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Let me try something else here.
Okay, keep talking and just give a good voice.
Big voice.
Your outdoor voice.
Now.
Keep going. Keith, it's too interrupted, I think. Yeah.
Can he write us what he's trying to say?
You just run it from.
Yeah, I've got to pull up the slides. Hold on just a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a bad, I'm at a.
Yeah, it's okay. Just keep going.
So I'm on my phone, and I just wanted to take a minute here to say thank you to the INC exec team that's there. And I was hoping they could, could all raise your hands or whatever. It took a lot. It takes a lot every month to try to put this kind of event on for 60 people, both hybrid and in person. And I just want to make sure that everybody's recognized that has put a lot of work into putting this stuff together. So I just want to say thank you for that. Are you able, Judy, to get the slideshow up,
I,
or
what's
Joel as
easiest
well?
for,
I can
for me,
resend it if that would help. Otherwise, I can talk through some of this stuff as well.
Keith, I've got the slides up for the election.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the most important thing that we have to do.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and I'm gonna run those from here.
If you can put them on screen, I can walk through them if you prefer.
Yeah, hold on just a second. It's taking me a minute to find my screens. And we will go here and share. All right. Everybody cool? Can see this pretty much. Where's my cursor? All right. All right. Yeah. Hold on. Bear with me, everyone. Go ahead. For some reason, there we go. Well, close enough. All right. I am having a hard time getting it into presentation mode, but we can see this pretty well. Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So.
And Judy, I can talk through some of these as well if you need me to.
Let me just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll let you turn it over. I'll turn it over to you at another point in time. So here we go. This is what we are in the election season for INC, and the formation of the nominating committee has happened, and you can see who's been working on this for the last 2 months. Call for nominations was started 60 days in advance of the March meeting. We are in the process of identifying interested nominees through a variety of methods, confirm the status of those who are interested as delegates of RNOs in good standing. They're INC delegates of an RNO in good standing, both with INC and with the city. And assess their interest in the position, so giving them a little bit more detail about the positions, providing them with role, responsibilities, and expectations. Those are in progress. Ask for a restatement of their vision for how they want to engage with INC and be part of the board. So that's our process, and as you can see, it's either completed or in progress. Okay. No. Sorry, I can't. Don't know why this isn't moving. Let me just go through. So, we are, the February delegate meeting is right now, right here, right now. This is the last time nominations can be taken from the floor, either from the chat or from the floor here. We can take nominations and work on nominating process up till the 20th of February. And that means we're confirming the eligibility and asking for statements and doing that process. We will post the slate of statements, on the website and by email on the 1st of March. And the annual meeting will be March 8th, and we'll present that slate of nominees. Candidates will provide their vision statements and introduce themselves, and we will have voting by attending delegates, both online and in person. And right now, our current, I'm so sorry, this isn't projecting, and I don't know why. Huh?
Escape and go after.
His escape? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. Is that okay? Let me try to. I'm gonna try one time. It keeps. Okay, right now, the positions that are currently filled are President Keith, Myers, from Swans Lake Citizen Group is president. That position goes to 2026. I am currently in the position of secretary. Mark Tabor, is from Baker, is currently in an at-large position, and Ann Kingston is also in a at-large position that is not up, it is not open right now. The positions that are open right now are, oh, God. Our vice president and treasurer, and we have nominations for both of those positions. I am gonna run for vice president, which is why I'm gonna quit talking about this for much longer. The treasurer nominee is Annette Woodward from Cherry Creek North Association, and the treasurer is a big position, and as we're saying this, we want to give a big shout out to Greg Sorensen, who has been our treasurer for a while. Big shoes to fill, Annette, just saying, and so it's really, it's with great gratitude and thanks to Greg and also to Annette for being interested and willing to want to step into this very important officer position. We have 3 at-large vacant positions. One that is for 1 year. It is a 1-year position that has been vacant since this last year, and Lamone Knowles, who is our current vice president, is needing to step out of that role, given some of the demands on her way, but she is interested in running and being a nominee for the at-large position for the 1-year slot. And in addition to that, we also have Joel Cox and Kelsey Gano. Joel is from University Park, Kelsey is from Mayfair Neighbors, who are interested in running and are nominees for the 2 other at-large positions. That is our current slate. Does anybody have any questions about that? Online, are there any questions in the chat about the positions? Yes.
Who was nominated for secretary?
For secretary, that will be open if at my turn on, and we'll look for finding anyone who would be interested in running or being appointed for that, either amongst in the existing group.
I guess I have a question about the process in general. So I belong to my RNO, but let's say I'm not a delegate, right? But I want to be involved with them, right? To make it, more open, more inclusive, more representative, all of that. Why are these processes in place if what we're looking for is to expand sort of engagement?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's the bylaws for starters, and in terms of running the organization, for the executive committee and for the officer positions, officer and the board positions, it is for delegate. It's the organizational structure is the delegate.
Can that be changed?
Well, it's to represent our RNO membership.
Yeah, let me take that because I've been a lawyer in the group, retired. But it is, every nonprofit organization, and ours is 501c3 here at Inc. You have a lot of very mandated structure, corporate governance, bylaws, the articles really tell us what that organization is about and what its mission is. The bylaws say how do we do that. So our bylaws, we went through a process in 2021. Adrian was part of that. It was a very long 8-month process to figure out how to run this organization. But basics, you got to stick to your basics. This is the organization for R&Os, right? And so it's really about facilitating, empowering, and making R&Os more effective.
And we're a member.
So they are member organizations. It's not just individuals, the R&Os, and they have delegates. So it's important to help them function well, and their delegates bring that functioning to Inc. So it is a structure. It's not just an organization that anybody can be a part of. That's not our mission. That's not who we are. There might be others that do that, but that's not what Inc. is. Inc. is about R&Os first and foremost. Those R&Os are represented by their delegates. That
Stay in here.
You can try it. I would also say there are other ways of being connected and involved and even participating at these higher levels would be through the committee structure, the co-committees as co-chairs and the committee meetings that they have, and being part of the process that INC is trying to put out there and the outreach to be involved in what's happening is an important other way that doesn't require this kind of slate and voting and nominations for the board, if you will, that is guided by the structure. Keith, sorry, I cut you off, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, no, I was just, I think that Lou gave a really good explanation of, why some of these processes are in place. And I would just also note that, Inc's been around for 50 years, and I think it's gone through a lot of different phases in terms of how people have thought about it as an organization. And what I've been involved now for about 3 years, and all I would say is that everything that we seem to go through has been gone through before in some fashion or another. And I think that these bylaws were written as a result of things that I think happened maybe 10 or 15 years ago with INC, and trying to make sure that we are both representative of R&Os and residents across the city, and also make sure that the people that are coming on board to the organization are committed to R&Os and the work that they're doing within their R&Os, and not using INC as a way to go about some type of agenda that might be personal to them or personal to a mission that they have. That could be very, a very good thing and a very noble thing, but that the work that INC is doing is for the benefit of kind of the greater R&Os. And I think we can see that even today with the discussion, the really quality discussion that we had, where not everybody had the same viewpoint. And I think that that's one thing that I really like about INC, is that we can be a gathering place for folks from across the city that have different viewpoints. And so I just think that that's kind of been, codified a little bit in how we do our elections and how we do our, kind of focus on R&Os. And we do want people to be involved. And so please reach out, if whether you want to run for something or you want to be involved in a committee or some other way to be involved in this organization, we would love it. We're always looking for people to be involved and to really come and want to be, lifting up R&O voices. That was that. And Judy, I think, it might be a good time to call for anybody that wants to either self-nominate from the floor or nominate someone else. I think the requirements you just had up, that you do need to be a delegate to do that. The one thing based on some feedback and things that we've seen over the last couple of years is if you are going to do it via the web, that we'd like you to come on camera and not either nominate someone or nominate yourself. And if you aren't a delegate currently, but you want to try to become a delegate, or you want to clarify with your RNO, this will be open, I think, until the 20th. Is that correct, Judy?
Yes,
Yeah. So, I think that we can go ahead and take that a minute now to, if there's anybody that wants to nominate someone for themselves from the floor, either in person or online. If you can raise your hand online or come on screen, that would be great.
yeah. So, and can somebody be watching online?
No questions so far.
No. This is the moment where it's the last moment for nominations from the floor for someone to express their interest in being a nominee. And if it comes from on chat, we would have you come off screen. Hearing none. Okay, we'll close that process. That part's closed. And we'll keep moving right along. Keith. You want to?
Go ahead, Judy.
Further announcements?
Yeah, I think that I am still having problems getting my computer screen. Are you all able to put the slideshow up at all or not?
Joel, can you get to the slideshow? It's just complicated for me because I'm running so much stuff here.
Yeah.
Let me send that out again.
No. I think we just put it in the chat for me. Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah, that's great. Let me try that real quick. The main things are that INC is.
Put it in the chat. I'm hoping, Mariah, thank you for that suggestion, Keith.
I didn't hear it.
Are you putting the
I'm trying to get there, yeah, on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's all. You can't just keep up with
Here, I got it. I think I got it.
Do you?
Thank you all for your patience. I really appreciate it. And I'm not sure it's being shown on, it's shown here. But I'm not sure it's being shown on, can you see it? People online?
No.
Okay, that was my concern.
I think you would have.
Let me see if I can do.
Or I can, if I believe it.
Hey, Judy, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you make me?
okay, we're going here,
Okay. Okay, great. Perfect.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so. Where do you want to?
This
pick
is
up?
fine. Right there is fine.
All right,
Can everybody hear me?
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. If you want to go back up one slide, Judy. Or I'm
Is
sorry,
that
to the red. It's the red, the programming slide. I think it's slide 5. There we go. Yeah. Just, I wanted to let everybody know we have some great programming coming up in the next couple of months. Next month will be our elections. Judy is hosting us at the Mulkery in Montclair, which is a beautiful historic building that I think is used in the past. We'll be an in-person and hybrid meeting again. And we're also going to have speakers on scams and online and mail and phone scams on Nextdoor, and a lot of things that have been coming up. And this is a topic that a lot of folks have expressed interest in, trying to get more information about. Judy, do you have speakers that you know of that'll be?
We're hoping to have someone from the FBI and the city attorney's office. And that's in, and we want to give a shout out to the Lowry United Neighbors who did that show. They did their last month. Sally, you could speak to, I'm hoping to get one or both of those same speakers. So Sally, you might be able to speak to how that went at your last meeting.
You booked the 2 of the FBI guys.
I'm trying.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
That's different, and it's a wonderful opportunity for any neighborhood, especially those of us with older citizens. We tend to be the most marked.
Yeah.
Along with romance. So those of you who are searching for that partner, I want you to be very careful.
Okay.
It was a great opportunity.
Right, and I really want to thank Lowry for giving me contact information, and that's how we work together. Yes.
And that contact information shared more broadly.
Contact info, I'm sorry.
So the bird rights.
Yeah, so my article, we're gonna have the speakers.
So that your RL can participate in the meeting? I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
She wants to have the speakers as her RL.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd be happy to share those once yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Well, yeah, April's Mark Tabor and Ann Kingston have agreed to help put together a great forum on some of the cannabis issues in Denver. And I think one of the things that we're trying to highlight is a program called Cannabis Cares that the city's excise and licensing department actually does. And it's a great program that I think a lot of neighborhoods don't know about. And it can provide funding for neighborhood activities, and also it's set up for cannabis organizations to better interact with their neighborhoods and the neighborhoods that they're a part of. So we're really trying to get the word out about that. And then if you can scroll down, it might be 2 slides, Judy. There, yep. So we're very excited that in June, and I was going to show a video presentation of this, but I think it might be a little difficult with this. So let's just hold off on that part. But this was the trailer for a movie that we're working on doing a Denver Community Film Fest in June, the 12th of June. We're organizing this event, a citywide event, but it's going to be in North Denver at the Holiday Theater. I don't know if you can scroll down, Judy, one slide. Yep, it's going to be at the Holiday Theater, which is a 100-year-old venue that's been beautifully refurbished. And it's run now by the Museum of Contemporary Art. We're going to have a reception beforehand, a screening, and then a post-film Q&A with the director of the film and also some citywide leaders. And the film is really, it's a really interesting film about the history of civic engagement, social dynamics in communities across America and how that's declined over the last 20 or 30 years, really. And I think that this documentary really goes into a lot of the issues that I hear all the time about from RNOs about declining membership. It seems harder for folks to leave their homes, to show up and come and meet in person. It seems harder for people to have time in their schedules to commit to community groups and civic engagement. And this is not just happening in isolated organizations. It's a phenomenon that's happening around the country. And this film really explores that and some of the social dynamics behind that. And we're really excited to be able to host this screening. I showed a clip of this in at the awards event that we had in November, and we'll send this out and you can watch it on YouTube. It's also on Netflix, but don't think that that's the only way to see it. You can come see it at the screening too, when we're going to get the director on Zoom afterwards and have a community discussion about the film as well. Judy, if you could go to the next slide. Yeah, and we're looking, great. Yeah, we're looking for co-hosts. So we've already got 8 RNOs and organizations that have signed up to help co-host this event, including South City Park, Sloan's Lake, Greater Capitol Hill, Highland United Neighbors, City Park West, Mayfair, University Park, and Radiant. And we're really opening this up to any neighborhood organizations and community organizations that we can to be co-hosts for the event. We really want to make this a citywide community event. And so we're really, there's a link to the in the agenda that I put online. There's also this QR code that if you're in person or online, you can click on that. It takes you to all the information about becoming a co-host and what we're asking of co-hosts. Actually, Judy, if you want to go to the next slide. Co-hosts, will be featured that night. They'll be featured in materials that we're sending out to media and newspaper, or the city council and other citywide organizations. You'll have a place at the venue to advertise your organization, and then kind of the most important thing is you can really make this a community event for your RNO as a co-host, and invite members from your RNO to come and be participants at this event. It's going to be a free event, but we are going to ask for donations at the event. But to be a co-host, we're really just asking, and we'll send out this information to everyone, that you commit one volunteer for the evening or leading up to that can help with putting the event together, and then help to promote this event by sending it out to your email list or sharing online on social media channels. And then we are asking for donations, but that's not a requirement. So there's no financial requirement for anyone that wants to join that event. So we'll send this information out. Again, I posted links in the chat to find out more information about becoming a co-host, but we're really hoping this will be a large city event. And we're really excited about the 8 organizations that have signed up already to be co-hosts in June. And we'll, I'd love to next month be able to add a bunch more RNO co-hosts to that list. So thanks for that. And we can, if you choose, I think you want to move on to the next slide. Oh, I did want to go, I believe, I'm sorry, Judy, it's slide 4. it's back up.
Oops.
This is
Yeah.
Bob.
Well,
Bob's a big fan.
Oh, well, you might as well
clubs.
show it. Keep it going.
That's my high school village. I'm somewhere in the middle. This is a film about why you should join one and how Bob discovered that the fate of America depends on it. Harvard professor and award-winning writer Robert Putnam.
You've been described as the poet laureate of civil society.
Robert D. Putnam, for deepening our understanding of community in America.
He made people pay attention to a concept that most people had never paid attention to.
Social networks have value.
I'd like to call on Professor Robert Putnam, who gave us the concept of social capital.
The number of people who know one another's first name, the number of people who take part in community organizations, the level of trust and reciprocity in the community. The places that have better government are the places that have a long history of social networks and social capital. Your chances of dying over the next year are cut in half by joining one group. Bowling alone. Where'd you get the title?
I happened to run into a friend who owned a bowling alley, and he said, "Gosh, Bob, you don't know it, but you've stumbled onto the major economic problems facing my industry. Because although more Americans are bowling than ever before, bowling is up in America. Bowling in leagues, bowling in teams is off by about 60%.
Everything that reflects connections with other people are going down. How many times last year did you go to church? Down. How many times did you go to a dinner party? Down. How many times last year did you go to a club meeting? In barely a couple of decades, half all the civic infrastructure in America had simply vanished. It's equivalent to saying half of all the roads in America just disappeared. Everyone has a feeling something's happening, but then he's got charts to actually show what's actually happening.
Whatever's happening with people's sense of mutual obligation, to their understanding about the common good, to their willingness to trust their neighbor, is no longer going on because people are bowling alone."
The book Bowling Alone, which you're familiar with, by Robert Putnam.
The activity may still be going on, but there's no social capital being built. That decreases the trust we have in one another. How lonely Americans are, how divided.
You know, he may have been onto something. We have to see loneliness as a threat to our health security and to our overall national security.
We are trying something that hasn't been done before, which is growing and sustaining a multiracial democracy.
Politics and policy ultimately depends on the social health of our country. Organization, connections with other people is the only way you get big change.
Democracy is a pain in the ass. If it was just easy, no one would have to go to a meeting and it would all just be fair and easy. You should join, your kids should join, and if there's not an organization you want to join, create one.
America doesn't have to be the kind of America that you lived in your whole life. You would decide to change history.
Great. Well, I'm glad that worked. With all our other technical issues, I wasn't sure that would, but great. So if you can go to slide 4, which is just the, I think it's the registration page.
The registration for what?
Go up for INC. That's
There?
it. Yep. So we have 20, we've talked about this, I think last month and again this month, is that, INC changed our registration cycle this year so that we're doing all registrations by the 1st of April, and that would be the calendar year for RNOs. And we've had 29, I think, RNOs register so far, which is great. And I think over the next month or so, we're going to keep pushing information out about how to re-register with the organization, especially since we're using a new system this year. This is, again, there's links in the agenda that I posted in the chat, and we'll get this out to everyone via email as well. But this is our new registration portal. It's very easy and user-friendly to use. We're going paperless this year, which means we're no longer accepting paper applications. And everything needs to be done through the web portal, but we are accepting checks. And to do that, if your RNO sends checks in, that's fine. Just walk through the registration process with all your delegate information and membership information. And at the end, rather than paying online, our address is provided for our PO box, and you can send a check. However, we are transitioning to a new treasurer this year. That is a major challenge, I think, in terms of, processing this as a volunteer is giving checks. So if you guys if you're able to do an electronic transaction, that would be preferable, but we also understand that there's, a lot of RNOs out there that are still using checks. So that's fine too. So I just wanted to go over that. And then I guess, Judy, if you want to go to back down to, I think, slide 12, which is the outreach and events team. Or, yeah, that's fine. Again, I think I talked about this the last couple months now, which is just that we have a lot of activities going on this year that are great. Lou's highlighted a couple of them. We are going to put together an RNO 101 book, and we have a RNO 101 lab. It'll be our second RNO 101 lab that's going to happen in September. We're still trying to lock down a venue for that. But if anybody's interested in being involved with that, I think we're going to try to get some very practical information out this year to RNOs about things like getting sponsorships or electronic and online resources that you can use, as well as communicating with the city and things like that. We also have our youth awards. Jane Potts has graciously agreed to run our youth awards again this spring. We're going to be getting that information in the next couple of weeks about the youth grants that our INC has done for several years. So we'll be getting that out shortly. And then, yeah, I mean, if like I said earlier, if you're interested in being involved with INC at all, feel free to reach out to myself, the president at denverinc.org, or connect with anybody in the room that's on the executive committee board. And the last thing I think is just, if you want to go to slide 13, Judy. Yeah.
Yep.
This is a program we started, I think, a couple years ago now, which is that, if you're interested, your RNO can host a monthly INC community meeting. And we have a couple of slots this year that we still, could do at an RNO if they were interested. We'll give you, $250 for most RNOs and $300 if you're in the best neighborhood. And then we'll work with you to just find a venue in your neighborhood that would work, and we'll work with you to try to get things set up to do there. So that's great, and just connect with us again about that. And I think, yeah, I think that's it. I think we are at 11 o'clock exactly. So thank you all for dealing with some of the technical glitches today, but I do think that this was a really, really worthwhile, both for RNO leaders and also the city to kind of have that conversation about their plans and whatnot as well. Is there anything else that you guys had in Lou or Judy that you wanted to mention?
I don't think so. I think there's still some refreshments and